Hey guys. Okay. Originally, we were going to do a Zoom meeting for this assignment, but I have read and heard some questionable things about some things going on with Zoom lately. So, just to be safe until I do a little bit more research, I'm going to do a video for you guys. I will try my best when I learn a little bit more to schedule a conference where we can all log in so we can see and talk to each other. But to be on the side of safety right now, I'm going to send you guys video. Okay, so that's why we're not doing the conference, but we'll try to get one done. All right, so I told you that we would be starting a new chapter, and anytime we start something new, I like for us to be able to talk about it and to do some things together. So as we're doing this, you guys are going to need your journals. So if you don't have your journal, just pause the video and go grab your language journal. Okay. All right. So um, what we're going to do is something that we've already talked about. We're just putting some new vocabulary to it. Okay. And we're thinking about it a little bit differently. We're used to finding objects of the preposition, right? You find a preposition. Um, my family went to the fabulous concert. To preposition. So you ask yourself, to what? To the fabulous concert. So you found, remember we find the OP, the object of the preposition. Okay. Well, what we're getting ready to do now is it kind of falls along that same thing. It's finding something in our sentences called complements. Now, there are different kinds of complements. Complement is they're homophones. They sound the same, but there are two different ways to spell complements. You can spell it COMPLIM. Did I spell that wrong? I hate it when I do things like this because I don't. Okay, COMPLIMENTS. Yes, that's right. I questioned myself. Compliment spelled with an I. That is when someone says something kind about you or something that you've done. Okay, you know, your new haircut looks nice. That is a compliment with an I. But the compliment that we are going to be talking about as part of our language is spelled a little differently. Now, I'm going to switch over, and I hope you have your journals. Go to your table of contents, okay? And you guys put in, right when we first started staying home, you guys put in, uh-oh, we are upside down. How did that happen? Let me see if I can fix that real quick. Huh. Huh. I might just have to start this video over again. Let's see what's going on. Let's see. Well, how do I don't know how I can fix. Let me see. There we go. Okay. All right, guys. All right. Okay. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Okay. All right. So, you did onomatopoeia. Isn't that the weirdest spelling word? You did this, like when we were first home. All right. This is something you added to your journals. So we're going to add, this is coming from our language book. Okay. So complements, COMPLEMENTS. Okay. This is different. Compliments with an I is when someone says something nice, but this is compliments with an E. Okay. So for my journal, I'm on page 64. All right. And this is going to be our title. So when you get it in your table of contents, go to page 64. Let's see. Okay. So let me get mine straight. Okay. All right. So this is one I don't have the page number written on. All right. So this is compliments. Okay, compliments with an E. Okay, now this one is complement with an E. And if you notice, if you have the word complete, COMPLE, and if I took this, see how kind of the word complete, that kind of is kind of neat because a compliment does have an important job as a sentence completer. Okay. All right. And that's what it does. It completes sentences. Now, and that'll make more sense to you as we talk about it. Okay. Because here's what I'm going to put an example. Okay. Because sometimes when we have a sentence, okay, you know, your subject and your verb makes up the core of your sentence. Okay. All right. Because so some subjects and verbs do not, they don't need a complement. Okay. Sometimes, so this isn't something you will necessarily find in every sentence. Okay. Because some subjects and verbs, they don't even need a complement at all. Okay. Let's see. Let's do a simple example. Example, Steve and Laura studied. Okay, so my subject, who is the sentence about? I have a compound subject. This is about Steve and Laura. Okay, there's my conjunction, adding Steve and Laura as my compound subject. And what did they do? They studied. Okay, this sentence does not need anything to complete it. It's a simple sentence, but it's fine just like it is. So some sentences, there's not a complement at all. Okay, so some sentences do not need a complement. All right, some do need a complement. Okay, it all depends on if it makes sense the way it's written. Okay, so an example for this one could be, all right, let's see. The student, that's our subject, okay. The student found, period, okay. This is the subject. This is who the sentence is about. Here's my verb. The student found, and this leaves us going, huh? What? Okay, I don't understand. Okay, this sentence is like it is a fragment. Okay, we've talked about this when we talked about fragments and run-ons and complete sentences. Okay, this is a fragment. It is not complete like it is. So this is an example of a sentence that needs a complement. It needs something to complete it. Okay, so in order to give it a complement, I'm going to slide up a bit. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to fix it. Okay, we're going to fix it because it's not okay like it is. It is a fragment. So let's see what we could add to it. The student found, and this is where if we were together, I would be getting you guys to give me ideas of what could fit here. Now, how could this sentence be completed? Okay, and it can be completed very simply with the student found a new book. Okay, or it could be completed with the student found a new hobby they enjoyed more than anything in the world. Okay, how you complete it can be simple. But it needs something else like it is. So what I'm going to tell you to do in your journal is to put something here that completes this sentence. And whatever you put to complete this sentence is your complement. Okay. All right. So I'm going to put the student found. I'm going to keep it super simple so it can fit in that space. That needs an adjective so desperately. Okay, the student found a beautiful moth. Okay, but for space, that's just what I'm going to put. So this is my complement. Okay, so as we are looking for complements, okay, there are a couple of things that we need to be on the lookout for. Okay, so we need to look closely for some things. you guys can see that the sun is beginning to shine on my journal. I'm sitting out in the backyard doing this video because there's some people doing some work in the house, and I figured you guys would rather hear the birds chirping than the hammers. Okay, so here are some things that you need to look closely for when you're looking for compliments. This is kind of our hints category. Okay, so when we're looking for a compliment, here's the thing that you need to know. Don't ever try to look close to the beginning of the sentence. Okay, because compliments come after verbs. Okay, they're always going to come after the verb. So find your verb and find out where your complement is after that. Okay, you know what? We need to do something else before we do this. Okay, so this is where Miss Wyatt messes up while we're doing things. Okay, I tell you what. Don't, well, because we need to talk about how we even find one before we talk about the hints that we have for looking closely. Okay, here's what I want you to do. I'm not going to start this whole video over. Don't put this quite yet, because we need to put something really important before we put this. Here, Miss Wyatt's going to, okay, so we're going to end up putting this in, but we need something else before this that's super important, super important. So leave this, we'll erase this, because what we need to write before we put this, we need to write how we even find a compliment. So I'm gonna flip over to my next page. After you filled in your sentence and gave it a compliment, okay, this is what I want you to put next. This is what I want you to put next. Okay, put a little asterisk and put to find a compliment, because before we can talk about the things that we need to look closely at, we need to talk about, okay, how do we even find one? To find a compliment, 2 easy steps. 2 easy steps. Okay, the first thing is you find that verb. Okay, you say the verb to yourself, and then after you say the verb to yourself, you ask yourself, what or whom is doing whatever the verb is, okay? What or whom is doing something, okay? So if we use this as an example, our verb is found, okay? The student found. Well, found what? Found a moth. When you find the answer to the question who or what, okay, as soon as you find the answer to this question, the answer that you find is the complement of that sentence, okay? So once you find the answer, you have found what needed to be there to be the sentence completer, what completed that sentence. So to find it, find the verb, say the verb to yourself, and then ask yourself, okay, what or whom is doing that? And when you find the answer, you have found the complement in that sentence, okay? So these are the steps to finding a complement, okay? Now, as we're looking for one, now we can talk about what we need to look closely for. We need to look closely and realize that as we find complements, they always come after the verb. Okay, here's something else, guys. When we look for complements, okay, it will never be in a prepositional phrase. Okay, you know, when we mark prepositional phrases, because there's so many times that we say they're not invited to the party, okay, this is a time that a prepositional phrase is not invited to the party, because if we are looking for a compliment, we are not going to look at a prepositional phrase. All right, so if you have your prepositional phrases marked in your sentence and you're looking for a compliment, you know, wait a minute, one of the rules is compliments are not in prepositional phrases. Okay, so here's your little test. Okay, I'm going to put some exclamation points out here. When you're finding a compliment, here's a way to test it. Okay, test it. Okay, you read Just pick out these words in the sentence. Read the subject, and then the verb, and then what you think you have found as the complement. Okay? And when you read those three words together, then it should somewhat make sense. It's not going to be a complete sentence, of course. Okay? But let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, if you read the subject, the verb, and the complement, up here your subject is student, your verb is found, and we've already said that this was the complement. Okay, so if I test this, student found moth. Okay, no, it's not a complete sentence, but that makes sense. Okay, so that's kind of a little test when you're finding one. Okay, so these are your notes. Now, as you're doing this, this goes along with the assignment that we have on page 270 in our language book. So I'm going to grab that. Okay, and this is our chapter for digging for complements. Okay, and the blue box, you guys know how we do. The blue box is kind of what we've already chatted about as we've done our notes. Okay, and this does remind us of things that we do already know, that sentences have two basic parts. Okay, and then it asks, what are they? You'll be interested to learn that some sentences have a third basic part, and it's called a complement. Okay, so here is the definition of a complement. Okay, complement is a sentence completer. We put that in our notes. It completes the meaning begun by the subject and verb. Okay, and this is an example of when we do not need a complement. Okay, this has Tyrell and George studying instead of Steve and Laura. Okay, and here's the thing about it. We could add more here. We absolutely could to make this a sentence that gives more details. But even without anything else, this sentence is a complete thought. We don't need anything else. Okay, and then it gives us some examples of sentences that are incomplete. Some subject and verbs are incomplete by themselves. I use this one from the book in our notes. Okay, the student found. Well, we need something more to have a complete thought. So this is an example of something that does need a complement, and they included the student found his book. Okay, all right, to find a complement, say the verb, ask what or whom. The word in the predicate that answers that question is a complement. Okay, so all of this we've already chatted about this as we were making our notes. We have even talked about the look closely part. Okay, the complements after the verb. Not all verbs need complements. It can be a noun, a pronoun, or an adjective. Okay, never been a prepositional phrase. And then here's the little test. Read the subject, the verb, the complement. If they do not make sense, you have picked the wrong words. Okay, so your assignment as we look over this is getting things in our notes and just doing this for practice. Okay, all right. Now, they give us some that they have already marked for us. They have marked the subject, they have marked the verb, and they have already shown us the complement by marking it with a C. I want you to see how the test works out great on these. Name is Jared. Okay, not a complete sentence, but that makes sense. Okay, I ate eggs for breakfast. I ate what? Eggs. There's your complement. Samuel heard God's voice. Now, this is where we have to be careful, because Samuel heard, if you had to pick one word for what Samuel heard, he heard a voice. Okay, now God's voice is one of our modifiers. Okay, but if we had to pick one word of what he heard a voice. Okay, so be careful with that when you're finding complements. All right, the room grew quiet. Room grew what? Grew quiet. Okay, Mom baked a pie for dinner. Even if this told us Mom baked an apple pie for dinner. Okay, you want to get it down to one word. Mom baked what? Well, Mom baked pie. Okay, so he heard a strange noise. He heard what? Well, he heard noise. All right. Now, I like that they put number 7 in here because sometimes it takes more than one complement, and that's perfectly fine. More than one thing to complete a sentence and make it make sense. I love science and history. Okay, this one has 2 complements. Okay, I love science, history. There's, oops, sorry, wind. There's 2 things that complete this sentence. Okay, all right, so look at number 8. Okay, Ryan can ride a horse well. Okay, the subject is, underline the subject, Ryan. Okay, what is your verb? Okay, your verb is can ride. Okay, so to find the complement, Ryan can ride what? Okay, Ryan can ride horse. Horse is going to be the complement. All right, Pastor Taylor preached a great sermon. Okay, who's the sentence about? Pastor Taylor. What did he do? He preached. So Pastor Taylor preached. Well, what did he preach? Sermon. So sermon is your complement. Okay, so try these last 3. All right, and see what you think about those. So pause it, try these last 3, and then unpause it, and we'll talk about these last 3. Okay, so try them real quick. Okay, so you've had a chance to try these. So let's think about these. Job lost his wealth. Who's the sentence about? Job. What did Job do? Lost. Okay, Job lost what? Wealth. That's your complement, is wealth. All right. 11, God sent the rain to earth. Okay, the sentence is about God. Your verb is sent. Okay, God sent what? Well, God sent rain. Rain is your complement in this sentence. All right, and then 12, Dad says the blessing before we eat. Dad is the subject. Says is your verb. So you ask yourself, Dad says what? Well, blessing is your complement in this sentence. Okay, so we're going to be working with complements. We're going to be working with sentence completers as we start on this chapter. All right, and so look over this stuff. If there's anything about this lesson that you're not sure of, that doesn't make sense, anything about your notes that doesn't make sense, just let me know. Remember, since this is a video, if you need to go back and pause it on the journal to get it written down, that's fine. You can do that as we work on some more things with complements. There are different types of complements, but it's kind of go along with some of the things that we've talked about in the past. So it's going to be kind of like things that we've already talked about. We're just going to give it new words to describe it. But there are different kinds of complements that we're going to talk about. And we'll talk about some of those in tomorrow's lesson. Okay. All right. So I hope everybody's well. I hope I get things figured out so we can do a Zoom meeting so we can all be in there together. All right. Hope everybody's doing good. Y'all have a great day. Bye.